What's up, guys? Thank you all for tuning back into this week's episode. I truly appreciate all of you guys that have been watching me from the beginning, or if you're new to this channel, this is your first video. I truly appreciate all of you guys, and if you think you're getting value from this channel, please do me a favor and hit the like button down below. It truly does help the channel so we can reach more people. Secondly, there's a couple announcements that I have to address with you guys. Firstly, there's been a slight name change to my Twitter account. It's still the same username, @NotoriousAlerts, which that will never change. The only slight difference is the name change is a little bit different. Also, if you guys have watched the video, how to make $140,000 in one day with my special guest, PHIO, then please give him a follow on his new account. Username right here @I'mCharlieHarp. His old account got suspended, so please give him a follow on the new account. That's all the announcements that I have for you guys, and this video has been highly requested that I go over some chart reading for you guys. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a couple of this week's runners, and I'm going to analyze the charts for you guys and exactly how I'm looking at this live time, how it's happening. In the mindset of someone that's been doing this for a couple years, and this is what I do for a living. So hopefully you guys will be able to get some insight into what you should be looking at on the chart. So stay tuned, guys. Alright guys, so getting right into these chart readings with you guys. I feel like it's very important to stay relevant with these chart readings. That way you guys are up to date and it's fresh on your mind as to what's moved. So for that reason, what I'm going to do is go over PHIO and ABIO. Those are both two stocks in the market this week that actually had some decent moves. Now, if you traded, then you know that the volume was not really that great this week, but we were still able to get some nice movers from these two in particular. Looking at PHIO over here. Now, right here on the left side of the screen, then I have the daily chart pulled up. And it's always important, no matter if you're day trading, if you're doing swing trading, it doesn't matter. You need to have some idea of the daily chart. I feel like, I know, I'm just going to speak for myself. I can't speak for any of you guys, but I'm sure that a lot of you guys can relate to this as well. When I was a newer trader, then when news comes out on a stock or volume comes out on it and people are talking about a certain ticker, all I would do is look at the intraday chart as to what's happening right then and there. And I didn't pay attention to the daily chart. And that's not sustainable for a long career in this game. Just make a note right now that no matter what type of trading you're doing, at least take a glance at the daily chart beforehand. No matter if it's just going to be a quick scalp, it doesn't matter. If we look at the daily chart on PHIO, then immediately, in my perspective, a couple of the things that I'm seeing that jump right out to me are right here. So there's a gap in the chart, meaning that there's a huge, well, just what it is, a gap between right under $7 and down here to the $3 range in the chart. This can be really good for a chart to fill the gap, because that means that it's going to have a really nice bullish run if a couple things happen beforehand. So we know that there's a gap in the chart. We know that it got positive news and there's volume on it. Those are really good indicators for a large bullish move to come. Knowing that that gap is there is very crucial to keep in your mind, because you know that you have a lot of profit potential. The next thing that I'm seeing on this chart is right here. Other than the gap, the next highest price that I see is right here at 371. I've already drawn in the red line right here. But that's very important, because that's the closest resistance that we have before we enter into the gap territory. So knowing that on the daily chart, which this is Saturday while I'm recording this, so, I mean, this hasn't entirely happened yet. You just know that there's a resistance right here at 371. Now, if you look back intraday, the news comes out, and what I do is I always stay on the 5-minute time frame as much as I can intraday. I feel like just me personally, that's the time frame that I trade the best on. It's a little bit more calmed down than the 1 minute time frame. So for me, I just love the 5 minute time frame. Now, if we see the news comes out and these indicators here, all of these lines, these are just some moving averages that I use. Maybe at a later date, I'll make another video on them. But for now, don't get too caught up on all of the indicators because I promise those are not the most important things on the chart. You know, you can trade very well without any indicators. Knowing what the price level that we have back over here on the left chart, the daily, we know we have resistance at 371. Now, that directly correlates intraday as well. You see the news comes out and you get the nice initial run up, and it comes right here to that magic number, which is right there at a resistance around 370, 371, whichever of the two that it is. So it comes right here to that, it taps it, and then it comes back down. Now, as a trader, then this is not something that you want to be freaking out about, because just think of the bigger picture. I know a lot of people talk about that you have to look left a lot of the times, and that is true. So look left as to what the overall picture is, and look currently as to what's going on. You know that there's a gap on the chart. You have immediate resistance at the 370 to 371 level, and you have positive news. So those are three really good things right here. So it comes up, it touches that, and of course it's going to come back down. This is not the time, if you did buy the news, to start getting spooked, because I mean it just tapped the resistance, which is normal, and then it consolidates right through here, and then it's climbing back up again. Now, if you're in the stock at this point, then definitely hold for the break. If you haven't gotten an entry yet, don't be chasing like right through here, because there is still the opportunity that it could touch this same level again and fall back below. So if you're not in at this point, don't chase it until it breaks. Now, once it does break, then that's a major move about to come, because looking back on the daily chart, then that puts you into the gap territory, meaning it broke the next or the closest resistance to us before we enter into this gap territory right here around, we'll call it 660 to 665. And I will go ahead and draw a price level there as well. We'll leave that right about there. Close to that level, but it's entered into that gap territory. And now it's broken it, so you got a lot of bullish volume coming in. And like I said, you could buy the break right here. If you did buy that break, I mean, you could even be buying 380s or even buy on the $4 break. Either way, it's a major move happening right here. And there's no signal to sell whatsoever yet. There's still no signal to sell. You come up, and then you're testing that $5 level. You break it for a second, which 5 also becomes a new intraday small resistance, because each whole dollar a lot of times becomes a new resistance or a major level to break. It tests 5, and then it just comes back a little bit down, consolidates, no reason to be freaking out here, and then you come back up again, get close to that $5 level again. Once it breaks 5 this time, very similar to what happened down here with 371. Once it breaks 5 this time, then you get another explosion, more and more to the upside. And, you know, now we're getting close to 9:30 with the market opening, and it starts coming down a little bit, and it's still holding right around that $5 level, which, you know, would be an important level to watch right here. Myself, I actually took an entry, which I will, I'll get it posted up on the screen for you guys. I took a small position just for a quick opening bell scalp at 506. So I tried to grab as close to $5 as I could. And, you know, my thought process was at the opening bell, then we would get another pop on that 9:30 volume. So as soon as 9:30 comes, it did exactly that. And then you have the huge run up right here, which my line, I drew it a little bit too high up, but it did fill the gap. So it hits right here. And if you look, it hits 648 high of day. If you look back over here, then that is right there at your gap fill. You're right there at it. So positive news, it had a gap. It broke resistance there at 370 to 371, and it made it all the way to fill the gap. Now, as a trader, this is where you need to be practical. Don't think that it's going to just keep going all the way to $20. You got to look at this realistically. I mean, it had a lot of great things going for it. It ran well over 100%, which is amazing, and it filled the gap exactly like it was supposed to. This is where you should be looking for an exit, because it fills the gap, it comes back down, consolidates a little bit more, and one key difference right here on this consolidation than the consolidations that we had back down here around the mid threes range, and even the very brief and tiny consolidation around the mid to upper fours, is it has a down break after the consolidation. And that's a bearish signal. After it consolidates and you have a huge down break like this, if you are still in, then this is where you need to be getting out immediately, because you've broken down below VWAP. You've also broken, the red line is the 9 EMA. It's a really cool indicator that I like to use intraday. Again, I might make a video later on explaining the indicators that I use if there's a demand for it. So it breaks VWAP, it breaks the 9 EMA, then it breaks the 20 EMA. So there's 3 of my indicators that it's broken right there, which I'm already out of it at this point anyway. This is where you need to be saying it's time to bail, and don't be convinced that it's going to come back up and go for a new high of day, because it did what it was supposed to, and now you have a downtrend. If you look at this, it is trending down instead of up now. And then it just kind of does this all day long, and then it goes right back down kind of to where we started for the day. And that's completely fine. It did what it was supposed to do for us. That was exactly my thought process looking at PHIO. Another ticker that I want to go over for you guys that had a bigger move would be ABIO. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it up on the yearly or the daily chart over here, and we'll have it pulled up intraday. So again, I always say that you need to look at the daily chart before you even worry about anything intraday, because the price levels on the daily are very important for intraday as well. So if we take a look at this, it's kind of reached a level that it's consolidated at lows, and this green line right here is the 200 SMA, which anything that's going to break the 200 SMA, that can be a really huge move. And this is also a really low float stock breaking through levels with volume. That's the perfect recipe for a major short squeeze and a major increase in price. This is exactly why stocks like this right here, this is just another reason that we love to trade low float stocks, because there's no other type of stocks that you can get moves this major intraday. If we look here, then we see that we have levels around the mid fives, and that's also right here, right around $5 is where 200 SMA was currently at. And we had this little bit of a double top right here around 550, close to it. So those are levels to look at. So now that we know that it's broken out above the 200 SMA, then you can come over here intraday to actually day trade this. So if you look, then of course you have major volume coming in. Again, this is another one that had positive news. It is a low float stock, and it's breaking out of levels on the daily chart. These are things that when all of these start happening, then you know that you're going to have a really great move. Looking at this, we have the initial spike, and then it starts coming back down just a little bit. It holds our 9 EMA, and then it starts going again. And, it does the exact same thing right here. It pulled the literal exact same move. And these are things that you start picking up on patterns and looking for. So you have the initial volume, and then just, very slight pullbacks, which is normal. Stocks are going to pull back. They're not going to keep going straight up, straight up, straight up with no pullback. This is what you have to understand as a day trader, the difference between a pullback and then actual sell-off. This is not sell-off in the slightest. This is just profit taking and a pullback. You get the run up, and then you come back down a little bit. You consolidate, you hold that 9 EMA, and then you get the next run up. And then it does the exact same thing. Pulls back just a little bit, consolidates again, and then another run up. This is what you want to be looking for if you're not in the stock. You want to be buying on the pullbacks. You don't want to just be having no rhyme or reason as to why you're buying. There's two ways you can do it. You can buy breakouts and you can buy pullbacks. Me personally, I would recommend you new traders to try to buy on the pullbacks if at all possible, because one, your risk is going to be much less, because if the stock does continue to just downtrend after the pullback, you're buying in at a much lower price than you would be buying at just a random price level near the high of day, or buying on a breakout, which buying on a breakout is fine, and I will definitely do it myself. But just to understand that there is more risk associated with buying the breakout, because if it's a fake breakout, or if you don't have strong disciplined trading rules and you don't take profit when you need to take profit, then your entry is going to be much higher, obviously, so that could turn into a bigger loss. For those reasons, that's why I love buying on a pullback, if at all possible. And it did that exact same thing twice, and then you get a major move right here, and then small pullback again, holding that 9 EMA, and then it just pulls back a little bit more here. If I was in right here, then I would probably be selling, just cutting my losses right here, and then buy back if it does hold up, because you come down here and you see at 10.27, the price 10.27, it kind of tested that before, and then it tested 10.27 again down here, and it held the level, which would form a double bottom, and then it's going to be coming back up. It holds that, and then once you see that 10.27 holds, you can get back in. There's nothing wrong with getting in and out of this several times in a day. It keeps your risk small. You have good risk management. You're respecting your stop loss, and you're still getting back in when you need to. It holds that and the yellow line, which is also the 50 SMA, which is a very important level also. Then you come back up and you break above 1350 right here. Let me go ahead and draw a line in for you guys. All right, now we get another breakout on this intraday. Right here we had the initial run-ups, the pullbacks, which is still a major move from 367 down here all the way to 1327, which is absolutely amazing. And if that is where the stock decided to stop, then that's still an amazing move. Then you had this small consolidation, and then it looked a little bit like it was turning bearish right here, but it did hold the VWAP, and it held the 50 SMA, and it also held this price of 10.27. So it held those things, which is all a very good signal. And then when it's coming back up and it breaks out of that resistance, this is, if you didn't buy on the pullback, this offered you another entry. You buy on the break of 13.27. because it's a new high of day break right here. It breaks it and you get a lot more bullish volume that just keeps coming in, and you run up to a high of $22, which, even if you missed all of this for whatever reason, then you could have bought this breakout and had an identical move from what it had already done. Now at this point, if you're looking at it, then it hit 22, and it could keep going to really any number that it wanted to at this point, because we've broken above the 200 SMA. We have shorts piled in all day, and it's a super low float with great news on it. So it could continue to go higher. But I mean, if you're in from down here, especially in the $3 range, I can't imagine why you wouldn't take profit if it's here. I mean, the thing is, no matter how high a stock goes, you got to be taking profit when you're up that much. That's an amazing move that does not happen every day, and it's just absolutely ludicrous to not be taking profit during that. Let's say that you got in later and you're still in here, then it comes back down on the pullback, it consolidates, and then you start to have sell-off. To me, an indicator of sell-off is after there's been a really nice move upwards, you get consolidation, and then you start getting a breakdown on that consolidation. So it consolidates, it breaks down below a few of our moving averages, and then it starts a downtrend. Now, when you break below that consolidation and you start downtrending, then I would recommend you guys to go ahead and cut your losses right there. That's, to me, I mean, it's done right there. It broke below my moving averages. It's consolidated for a second, and it broke down below that consolidation. It's time to bail. I mean, the stock gave you plenty of money. There's no need to stay in it. Me personally, that's how I'm viewing this. And if you keep scrolling, it just continues to downtrend and even more strong sell-off. There's absolutely no reason that you guys should be caught down here at $11 if you were in up at these levels, because it gave you plenty of indicators around the high teens that the move's over, get out. Even if you are taking a loss, just accept your loss on it right here, because it's going to get so much worse. That's just kind of how I view these charts, and I hope you guys kind of got some value into the insight of how I was thinking about these. I just kind of give you my thought process out loud, what's going through my head intraday as it's happening live time, and kind of how I'm seeing this. Hopefully you guys are able to learn a little bit from this, and a few key takeaways in all of this is always look at the daily chart. Always, always, always look at the daily chart before you do any kind of move, because it's going to show you some very important levels. Just like with PHIO, the 370 to 371 level was super important. And when it broke that intraday, if you've already looked at the daily chart, then you know that that's a major breakout right now. And, you can make a lot of money if you know what's going on. And that only comes from actually looking at the charts and knowing what's going on, doing your due diligence by looking and seeing what the realistic values are. I hope that helps you guys a little bit. Stick around until the end of this video, because I do have a few more announcements that I want to go over with you guys. So make sure to stick around. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching that chart reading video. I hope that gave you guys some insight and some value into kind of how I'm viewing and interpreting charts as they come each day. So if you guys liked this video and want to see more content like that, then please drop me a comment down below, like this, and subscribe to the channel so you guys can stay up to date with that, and I truly do appreciate that. Also for you guys, I wanted to let you know that I have a couple things that I want to announce to you guys. Firstly, as always, if you're looking for a new broker and you're looking for a few free stocks, then feel free to click the link below and you guys can actually get a free couple stocks. And I do highly recommend Webull for newer accounts. It is what I turned $500 to $25,000 with, so it's a great broker. Also, if you guys are wondering how some of the professional traders are finding the news very, very fast, then the software that we're using is called Scanz. And I do have a link attached below if you guys want to try Scanz out. Feel free to get a free trial on Scanz and get used to the interface so you can stay up to date on the news in the quickest way possible. And if you guys are wondering what scanners that we're using to see what's moving each day, then it is Trade Ideas. That is the software that all professional traders use to always monitor what's moving in the market. So if you want to always know kind of what's moving and where the volume is, then Trade Ideas would be the scanner to use. And there is a link down below for you guys to get Trade Ideas as well. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel, and I will see you next Sunday.